All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to
You got an agenda?
the December 4th
Thank you.
Water and Sewer Commission meeting. The mayor spoke to me this morning. He had another obligation, so he will not be joining us this afternoon. So with that, we'll start with public participation.
Nobody likes us.
Yes, I see there's no one from the public. We will pick up the topic before you later done discussion. We'll go ahead and move on to stormwater moment. As you can see, Stormwater Smart restaurants. Basically, it alludes to everything, the culmination basically of everything we've talked about over the last 11 months. Of, making sure that everything stays off the ground, gets put in their proper place, put waste in its proper bin, whether it's waste or trash, avoid overflowing, whether it's dumpsters or putting into the garbage trucks. Keep a lid on it so that if it blows over or becomes inundated with rain, it doesn't overflow. And if it does spill, wipe it up so it doesn't make it into the stormwater system and out to any of the tributaries. With that, does anyone have any questions on the stormwater? Okay. Billing issues? Do you have any? Concerns? Call for it. With that, I'll move on to the resolutions. First, we'll look for approval of last meeting's minutes.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to approval of the warrant.
I'll move the warrant. Yes.
Second. Any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to discussion. Roughly a week ago, we did receive the 30% drawings for the electrical design update.
Is this a resolution in there too, Bill?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
It's
Sheila
all-
didn't remind me, yes.
I'm sorry.
It's only $1 million.
It's only $1 million. No, this was a last minute substitution. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Green. Before you have a resolution, I recommend that the council authorize the city controller to forward approximately a little bit over $1 million in delinquent water and sewer bills to the county for delivery onto the 2024 property tax bills.
It's an annual thing.
Annual thing. I believe it's probably a little larger this year than normal.
It is, I think.
Basically because the bills went out so late, and we had so many issues with the dirty water and so many issues with the new unit system that really created some havoc with us trying to get the bills out. So instead of 90 days, it was 111 days of a billing period. So I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Now we can go to discussion. Go on with that. With Ray Pierce has completed the initial drawings to 30%. There's a couple of different ideas that they have that we're probably going to meet either on December 14th or 15th to discuss. Will be myself, Chris, Christian, Jason Nylander, Jeremy, and John Goldie, and the engineers from Wright Pierce. Nothing surprising that we didn't really anticipate, but there's a couple different avenues we can go, and we're going to be taking a look at what we think is in the best interest of the city, and what creates the best avenue as far as moving forward quickly and economically, and the most efficient way to do it. So.
Are we looking at a spring groundbreaking for that?
No, what we're hopefully is getting 100% drawings by the spring and summertime. And then
Summer start.
yeah, and then as far as groundbreaking, we're going to have to go out to bid and secure funding for that.
Another year.
So I would say it's going to be some time, unless we're eagerly pursuing different avenues of funding. So if funding sources become available, obviously we'll go in and let them know that we'll be what's known as shovel-ready by the summer. So if there's, some projects aren't ready and they have funding available, we'll take advantage of everything we can. So we're looking for every penny.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, any further questions or on the electrical? All right. Some of the things that we looked at out of the budget, when we met with the city council, they recommended that we take a couple things out of the ARPA funding, some one-time funding, and one of them was overhead doors for the wastewater treatment plant. They asked us if we could go ahead and take that out of ARPA. So we said yes. Also on the funding, we were looking at a vehicle and a camera system too. That would be one-time funding. And so we're looking at getting prices for that. I think, Chris, we're gonna look at bringing someone in to give us a price on replacing the existing doors that are probably, Chris, are they original?
No, they're not original, but they're way outdated, they're uninsulated also, they're wooden, so they're pretty fragile and just about falling off. We're insulated doors up to maintain heat in the building, and the third door will open the third bay up for use. Right now, it's just a walk-through door, and we just have stuff piled in there, and we'll get that cleaned up and utilize it for the vehicle.
So, also included in the package was a list of everything that we've funded through the Water and Sewer Board from ARPA, that was paid for from ARPA. And the last three things are the ones that were recommended to be taken out of ARPA and moved from the operating budget for the Water and Sewer Department. Elm Street, we have broken ground. I don't know if anybody's tried to travel down that street, but you can't, so. So it's closed off right now. They were doing some of the storm line. They were replacing some of the manholes. Got a call from Jeremy Friday morning around 8:30. Said there's a water geyser coming out of the hole. So I made my way down there. We weren't sure if they hit the main, but they did not. It's a 6-inch main. They did not hit the main, but they did hit a abandoned lateral that wasn't marked, surface line. Looked like to the parking lot, so maybe there's an old building there at some point. So we didn't have any records of it. So instead of taking it back to the curb spot and just plugging it there, they just abandoned it in place and shut the curb stop and left it there. So as he was excavating, he just ripped it right out of the field operating crew did a fantastic job getting in there. Once we were able to shut the gates, we had to dig up several gates at the corner of Elm and Pine. We had to shut the gate south. Once we did that, the water slowed to it didn't never stop, but it slowed to the point where they could actually put their foot on it, clean the pipe around it. Actually, even we used a broom handle to stop the hole and clean it all up, and then they put a wrap around it. And they were done with it by about 11:15. They were soaking wet, but the three of them were in the hole doing that. So, and Carver, the contractor, helped us out considerably too. So it was a lot of cooperation, a lot of things got accomplished quickly. So Jeremy was, I've got pictures and stuff, and Jeremy was there, and then later that afternoon they hit a gas main that was marked. So
I'll go buy lotto tickets
so then
after work.
yeah, so then the resident engineer inspected, and this is very definitely a nightmare on Elm Street. Quickly turning into a nightmare on Elm Street. So with that, we did complete the cleaning of tank number 1 up at the water treatment plant. Part of that was due to taking it down and doing the repairs that were needed for when the antenna from AT&T was put on, where they did the well points. That responsibility was on AT&T and their contractor to pay for that. But when we did get in there, the tank was stained more than normal from some of the stuff that we've got out over the summer that we saw in our distribution system. So we need to do a little heavier cleaning than normal. The tank was due to be cleaned to 2024, every 4 years, and 2024 was the first cleaning. So instead of having to take the tank down again, we went ahead and cleaned the tank now since it was down. The only thing was they needed additional chemicals to do that, so it was about 60, I think it was $6,900 more in chemical. They supplied all the labor, so there'll be an additional cost for about $6,900. So, but it's clean. They got everything
Who
off
did
the
it?
stain. Well, it was Suez,
Okay.
who was bought out by Veolia, and that
That's right.
branch, Utility Services, bought back. So it was Utility Services in the end. Basically, it's the same company that did all the work, but it was a branch of that. But Roger Linder doesn't. He was our rep, but he doesn't
Right.
work for them anymore. He's left and gone to another company too. But it still has a little bit to do with this contract with Glens. So, I was able to get inside that, take a look at it. It's pretty wild. You can get in and you look at that inside, and it's pretty clean, and it's bright white, and it was a rusty color all over, but they got it back down to the clean to the white.
Did we coat those
They were coated inside, yep.
a few years ago?
Yeah, and that's why we had to do the repairs from where the well, because the well
Right,
burned
right.
through the coating.
Yep.
So those are the spots that were taken care of. We inspected everything looked good. So it should be another 4 years worth before we have to do anything.
Did you go up the top and go in? Or?
I'm not going up top. I was brave when I was young. I don't know. I keep looking at that and I say, should I go up? I said, God, that's for younger people now. We will do the second tank in the spring. We did do an inspection of the second tank with a submarine. It's not as bad as the tank one was. So a lot of that, I believe, is manganese was adhering to the sides. So that was all clean. So the second tank shouldn't be as bad.
Is that part of their contract?
That's part of their contract every 4 years to take those tanks down.
That's good.
Inspect them, yeah. Like I said, the only reason we did it now in 2023 was because we had to do the repairs and we wanted to get them done. So, and we were right up against it because the chemical only works at, above 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So we were battling there, and so we were able to get it done. And tanks, since last Wednesday, the tank's back in operation. So the crew up there, Ricky Smith and his staff, did a really good job. I had a couple other things I wanted to just discuss. I wanted to, our VACCON went down, so we didn't have any backup machines, so Janjo was able to talk to some of his friends over at South Glens Falls, and he was able to have their machine cover for us in case we had any emergencies. And sure enough, on Lawrence Street, that one of those days we had to use their machine. So I wanted just to thank those guys for helping out. It's nice that we can depend on other communities, and I feel that we would be the same thing. And Danville said in the past that we've done. And helped
Yeah, I've
out
seen
and
our
stuff.
back truck over there.
Yeah, so.
Is it back? Ours?
No, it was just a minor thing, I guess, that turned out to be. So they had to wait for the part, and then they got it back up. We were using it, thank God, because we were using it on Friday with the water main break.
Just I thought I saw it today.
Yeah, no, it was up and running, I think Ginger called me Tuesday afternoon, and we had it back by late Thursday. So, do have a question, I don't know, David, I don't think anybody said to you, we got an inquiry from the cement company that they're looking at putting a well in for their offices. And we just heard about this, so I didn't
Down
think.
here?
Yeah, I didn't think if they were able to, if there was water available, that you can't drill a well.
No.
Okay. So that's,
Why would they want a well?
that's.
They're already hooked up to municipal water there.
We're still scratching our head.
Maybe whoever's taking over doesn't know that.
I don't know how they, and it's Hildebrand? I think that's the name of the parent company that, Adam just got the request today, so, sent an email out to Tom, to a bunch of people, and Tom even said he's kind of confused because they just put a, $1 million fence around the place, and they still want to drill an office, well for the office, so it doesn't make a lot of sense, so.
You're thinking it's gonna be cheaper than paying our rates?
I guess if that's I don't know how much a well would be to drill, but we're just
Wells are not cheap.
No, and we're just trying to gather information now because we just received it, but I figured I'd, under discussion, just let everybody
It'll
know.
be a high water use business?
No, I mean, they're gonna be empty, it's gonna be the
Just our
offices.
right?
Just your office?
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense, but, I figured since David was gonna be here and
Yeah.
that I would ask.
I'll
'cause
double
it's-
check the,
because,
city
everywhere I
code,
worked, wherever there was city water and city
Yeah.
sewer, you couldn't hit it.
They don't have water in their offices now?
They must, I just don't understand.
Well, and then the other thing is if they put it's, I don't know why they would want to put in a well, because then if they put in a well, they have to put in backflow preventers on everything, because if the system's
Can't tell.
already tied into municipal water, they can't have well water backflowing. So
Right.
it would seem to me that would be cross prohibitive, but,
Mhm. So, I just wanted to bring that up. And lastly, under discussion, I got a call Saturday afternoon from Dave White. Said that a resident at 180 Dixon Road had a problem with his water meter. It had separated, the pipe had separated from the water meter, and he had about 4 inches, according to the resident, of water in his basement. The resident was able to get to the shut-off and shut it off. And David said he wanted to talk to supervisor, but David didn't want to give my number. Obviously, sure did. You give him my number. So I talked to Mr. Severy from 180 Dixon. He said, our water meter failed. The pipe came out from the compression fitting on the homeowner side. I said, well, I'm not sure who's at fault right now, but he said what the biggest issue was that it sprayed all over his furnace, and his furnace was soaking wet, and he was afraid to start it. So I said, listen, I know this is it's cold, and I have family there. Go ahead and contact your furnace company, and I will go ahead and authorize them to do whatever they need to do to get the furnace up and running. So he called me back. He said it was too wet. They don't want to start it up, and he said that he still believes it's the city's problem because the pipe came out of the compression fitting right at the water meter. So he'd be looking for compensation on the furnace and things of that nature. So I said, okay, well, let's see where we are. Chuck was unavailable Saturday. He had other obligations, and then he was on call on Sunday. So he went roughly. He got there about 9:30 Sunday morning. Again, the pipe had separated from the compression sitting on the discharge side of the meter, and Chuck went in, reattached it, put a new compression fitting on, Chuck, and it seemed that there was no apparent reason for it to separate. So obviously the gentleman was supposed to come today, but he could not get free to come. He's going to. I told him his best bet was to write a claim to the city clerk, start the process, and then we'll move forward. I told him we're meeting again on the 18th at for the workshop. He's definitely can come and go
Sounds
ahead
like
and
it needs
discuss.
an electrician too.
Yes, and then Chuck discovered that too. He said he saw some.
They should be doing that.
Saw some sparks flying. So the meter was installed in 2004
By us?
by us. Chuck was there in October, changing out the transmitter. Inspected it. There was no indication of any issues. There was no water around the compression fitting. There was no looking at separation of the pipe. So I don't want to put any words into your.
Exactly right.
So.
But the
So,
pipe wasn't-
it's
the
not
pipe
like
wasn't
we haven't
supported
seen it.
after the meter though?
That's what it was not supported after the meter.
So,
So that's what Chuck discovered when he saw it. So now, we don't know. It's been like that for 20 years and no issues. As I said, we inspected in October and there was no issue. So I don't know what could do. I did let the mayor know and I let David know just so that if he was here, it wasn't going to be.
so this would be an insurance claim we'd.
Well, I imagine as I spoke to David, and I didn't think of it off the top of my head when I spoke to Mr. Severy on Saturday or Sunday to tell him to go ahead and claim, put a claim in with his homeowner's insurance, and then they can in turn, send a claim to the city if they want, so.
Is there any way to prove that it's not installed properly or needs to be supported, or, we put it in, right?
We
20
put-
years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago with no issues, and I mean, we were,
I mean,
and
did
I,
we
we
get in
were even
there
there,
and
we were even
make a
there,
bracket to support the other side of it?
we were there in October, and it didn't seem that there was any issue with it, so.
I just wonder if we should support it now, you know?
I looked into that, even the manufacturer of the meter, the only thing they recommend is the support under the meter, just for the weight of the meter. And then they don't even show anything after the meter, but it's kind of common sense, especially, anything I've done, new installs or anything I've seen has something after the meter. Just really for this reason, probably, to support the pipe and prevent it from coming out. I mean, it shouldn't come out, those things are rated for up to 50 years, so.
And we don't have any kind of dramatic pressure increases or decreases.
Mhm.
There was no apparent fires, and even if there was a fire, we would lose pressure in the system more
Right.
than gain it. We would just put more, because we're constant, because we're off of the tanks, not
Right.
off of a pump system. So it's not like a pump failed on its VFD and just increased the pressure throughout the whole system. So I asked him to submit his claim, and I guess we'll go from there. But just, as I said, I brought it to the mayor's attention, I brought it to David's attention, just to get, so they knew when they came in. That would be looking at that, so. That's all I have under discussion. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up or to come up before? No, we had that. Personnel, we've got a couple things. We've interviewed for a couple of operator positions, so we're hoping to make an offer here soon. We have another gentleman that started on the field crew. We'll see how that goes. He started a few weeks ago. The only other thing about personnel is we started a new time clock system that we're working all the bugs through, so Chris and Christian have been doing that. Really good
They
job.
wind in, or they?
We're gonna have sweat cards and
Sweat
things
cards,
like
yeah.
that, and City Hall, and people like me and Sheila can then go ahead and do it on the computer.
Oh, did you notice they hacked the water plant in Pennsylvania? Did
Yeah,
you see that?
yeah, we got all notifications on that from the EPA and
Are we
AWWA.
protected? Good?
Yes, we don't have the same kind of systems that they have. There was some certain kind of programmable logical controller, PLCs. So I've never heard of that name before, but we did reach out and talk to Ricky and those guys, and we're going to reach out to our GCS, who handles all our control systems. So,
Great.
there's always something, I guess. It was somewhere from Russia or Turkey or
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't too much with their systems stuff. And before we leave personnel, Joanne McTiernan is training to be our next Sheila. After Sheila retires in February.
In February?
Yes.
So-
So sad to me. Yes, it
So-
sounds like.
Joanne's been shadowing Sheila since last week, so we'll see how everything goes, and
All the good hiding spots?
if we don't scare her away, we'll see how everything goes and go from there. With that said, I don't have anything for executive session. Do you do? Next proposed meetings, as I said, the workshop will be on December 18th, Monday, December 18th at 2 o'clock, and the regular water and sewer board meeting for 2024 will be Tuesday, January 2nd, because the holiday is the 1st. With that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Mhm.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Absolutely.
All right.